To repeat, Willards, political corruption is a fact of modern political life, and Willards, perhaps historical and ancient political life also, Willards.
Yes.
And this, and I'm going to emphasize when I come back to my written submission, Willards, it is not that the Constitution gives a complete carte blanche. After all, the privileges of Parliament are to be exercised by Parliament itself against its members. And we may trust Parliament to do so on given occasions. In the early years, my lords, in the provisional Parliament, and I've given that instance in my written submission, I'll take my lord to that straight away, my lords. A member, one Mr. H.G. Mudgal, was expelled by the House for, my lords, accepting a bribe to ask a question in the House. From 1952 to Rajaram Pal in 2006, it is not that Parliament has not exercised its power. And so the Constitution leaves it to Parliament to take care of aspects of political morality. Then I would respectfully submit that the court, out of a sense of moral outrage, ought not to proceed further. And that is the error in Justice Agarwal's judgment, my lords, and I'm going to place that passage straight away. Justice Agarwal is conscious of the fact that the power to expel is there. But the judgment says that is not a satisfactory solution. That's the fundamental error, my lords. And I say this with great respect, that it is not for the court to find perfect solutions to all moral dilemmas, political problems, political conundrums, my lords.
But Mr. Ramchandran, if you really interpret 105.2, the Justice Bharucha rejected the submission of the Attorney General based on the words in respect of. Let's look at 105.2. What does it say?
Yes, please. Let's go.
No member of Parliament shall be liable
to any proceedings
in any court in respect of anything said or any vote given by him in Parliament or any committee thereof. So what this really means is that a member of Parliament, it says, shall be liable to any proceedings. Shall be liable to means shall be answerable to or shall be held to account in any court. So once a member of Parliament has either cast a vote or has spoken, they will not be answerable in any court of law in any proceeding for the vote which they have cast or the speech which they have made. That's all. And that dovetails with clause 1. Clause 1 begins by saying there shall be freedom of speech in Parliament. And then 2 says that freedom of speech in Parliament is protected by saying you will not be held to account in a court for a speech which you made. No court can say that, well, why did you make this speech? Or you are answerable to us as a judicial institution in respect of a speech which you made or a vote which you cast. That's the purpose. This does not really seek to implicate other aspects, such as an aspect of criminality. Now, some aspects of political morality are dealt with by the Constitution itself, in the 10th schedule, for instance.
Lordship, please.
Okay,
which came later. Which came
much later. But for instance, the 10th schedule will deal with certain aspects of political morality, namely crossing of floors, casting, acting against the whip, or a defection from the political party. But to read the words in respect of have to be construed appropriately. You're right. Normally, in respect of is not treated as a word of limitation. In respect of is always interpreted in a very broad perspective. In relation to, in respect of. But what is in respect of what? In respect of anything said or any vote given? Will this go beyond a criminal consideration underlying the speech or the vote? Of course, there is a possible view. I mean, you can't, that's why, that's why that judgment is there. Obviously, too, the majority has taken that view and we respect that view. What seems to have weighed with the majority is that if you cannot be responsible in respect of a vote given or a speech made to any court in a proceeding, then the underlying motive for the casting of the vote or the speech, whether it is criminal or otherwise, equally immune
Lordship, please.
from court proceedings.
Lordship, please, my lords, and
The question is whether you therefore stretch that in respect of to cover an underlying motive or an underlying consideration being criminal as also being immune, or whether does it stop with the vote cast or the speech which is given, and does it really also extend to a possible criminal misdemeanor in the casting of the vote or the making of the speech?
just a respectful refinement of what my lord the Chief Justice has put to me. My lord was.
Yes, I mean, this is the things. When one question is, the way you read sub-article 2 is perhaps is in two parts. The first part relates to the vote given by him in the parliament. Anything said or vote given. The later portion which comes after end, after the comma, talks about liability with respect to publication by or under the authority of either house of the parliament of any report, paper, vote or proceedings. This later portion talks about the liability with respect to publication, etc. The first part talks about the vote as well as what is said. There is a distinction there.
Sorry to interrupt. Also, member of parliament versus person. First part is member of parliament, second part is person.
No person shall be.
Person. So therefore, there is a clear distinction there. So whether with the expression in respect of attached to the first part is a question, perhaps that just came to my mind.
Lordship, please, my lords.
That is one thing.
Lordship, please.
Does it attach to a pristine situation where a member of a parliament says or votes in a parliament? This has to be read in consonance with the first sub-article 1. Maybe there is perhaps a distinction there because, as they say, publication also,
Yes, ma'am.
and what is published with respect to the proceedings of the house also attaches some amount of immunity. That is what is said.
So the Lok Sabha debates, the Rajya Sabha debates.
There could be something, yes, my lords.
And that will also attach to a staff of the legislature. The Secretary General of the Lok Sabha,
Yes, my lords, the printer and publisher also.
who will publish a report of the text of the proceedings in the parliament, would be equally immune because no person shall be liable in respect of the publication.
Therefore, the use of the word person,
Person.
because they are
Much broader.
expanded beyond the member concerned.
There's a long English parliament.
Private public.
Right. That's by or under the authority, something which is an authorized publication of parliament.